Sure, I'll do my best.
All right. So I think it's recording.
Okay.
All right. So thank you again for doing this interview as part of Careers in Student Affairs Month. It's part of NASPA's APIKC. So yeah, if you want to get started, if you want to introduce yourself, let us know your name, role, your institution, how long you've been in this role, and anything else you want to introduce yourself with.
Sure. So I'm Ingrid Mapanao-Racho, and I currently work as a program coordinator for San Jose State University's Center for Asian Pacific Islander Student Empowerment. So we say CAPISE for short. And I've been in this role for only a month and a half. So I'm very new to, I say officially student affairs, but I do have experience working in higher education for at least like 5 or 6 years, or five years prior to coming here. So that was mostly in the admin and finance space, but then also the diversity, equity, inclusion space within a medical school. So I'm a newbie to, I guess, like officially student affairs.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. Well, I think kind of the first question we have for you then, kind of what inspired you to kind of take on this role, changing kind of that career path to take a career in student affairs, or when did you first learn about it? Kind of two questions in one.
I mean, to be honest, I feel like I just accidentally landed in student affairs. And it was funny because when during my interview for this role, the question was asked, why make the switch to our world of student affairs, specifically multicultural or cultural centers, and working in with students there. And I actually didn't really see much of a switch, if that makes sense. And so, my background is in public health and social work. And so my experience does come a lot from nonprofit and also working, like what I mentioned earlier. I did work in higher ed for about 5 years in Philadelphia. And so I think in between all of those experiences, I was always unofficially kind of mentoring college students or early career professional or recent grads. And so I feel like it was always just kind of something that I love doing naturally, in addition to like what I was doing with community work within nonprofit space. So I feel like I don't know what inspired me to make the switch. I just kind of went with my gut feeling of just kind of following um, jobs or roles that kind of fit my values. And the values is really kind of building community, supporting people, and that includes students, or just like empowering communities and individuals. So I I just accidentally landed here, to be honest. And so I lived in Philadelphia for 10 years, moved back to San Jose, my hometown, about a year ago, and really just 8 months unemployed, didn't know what I was doing, exploring. And then I saw this role open up and I was like, oh, that seems so interesting. Cause like I mentioned, I have unofficially mentored a lot of like college students or early career or recent grads, and specifically with Asian and Pacific Islander students. So it just kind of I'm just grateful to be here, and I'm glad the universe or whatever led me here has led me to this role.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. No, that's definitely a common thread I heard a lot with student affairs professional when we ask like, oh, what made you choose this? It's like it just kind of
I didn't
happened,
choose
you
it.
know.
I did not choose it. It chose me.
Yeah, but no, I really love hearing the experience. Coming, interested in community work, nonprofits, having a social work background coming into this in public health. It's definitely something that I think a lot of people in student affairs appreciate.
Hmm.
So I know you said you're relatively new to the role, so within a month.
Hmm.
So maybe the question of what a typical day looks like might be a little bit harder to answer. So maybe, if you do have an answer for that, I would definitely want to hear like what's a typical day for you. But if not, what's something you're looking forward to in the role or something that's already excited you so far in your month?
Okay, I'm gonna try to answer that and then maybe answer the second part. And I will say typical day, I think is very different. And so here at Capice or the center, I mean, we have students coming in Monday through Friday. So for me, I think a typical day yeah, sure, the students are coming in here, but the conversations that and the I guess the conversations that the students have in the center or interactions can look different. Sure, there are common questions of like, where do I find, like where do I find the bathroom? I don't know. Some just looking for directions. Some common things that do happen here, some students will see our sign and they'll come in and say, hey, I'm just curious about CAPISE, or hey, I think that's me. I'm Asian and Pacific Islander. Can I learn more? So I think those are some of the common things. CAPISE, we also oversee a mentorship program. So I supervise mentors, some of the mentors, and also like work on the programming with my program director here. And so sometimes we'll see like mentors meeting and all of that stuff. So I'm running programmatic things. We also run programs. So we have a team of student staff who are community organizers and also like working on our marketing. They're also doing like um, office operations. And so for me, I think a typical day is kind of overseeing their work or supervising them into kind of those center operations. I will say it just looks different every day. I mean, there's every day checking my email, checking my emails, going to trainings, but I think that's what I've gathered so far in a month
Mhm.
and a half that I've been here.
Yeah.
Think something that I'm just really looking forward to and have experienced is just being able to, my favorite part is really working with the students and also supervising them. And I think one I mentioned earlier about the mentorship program, I think we have about, let me see how many. I think there's about 38, 40 mentees, and like we have 8 mentors. So just kind of I guess help guiding them through like what it's like to mentor other people. So in this sense, I'm kind of like mentoring the mentors,
Yeah.
but also seeing their growth there. And then the other aspect is also supervising our staff who are what we call community organizers and also community operations specialists, and just kind of like showing them what it's like to be a community organizer, how to host programs, how to, like create a well and welcoming and warm environment where students feel like they belong. And so I think I that's my most favorite part, is that I get to contribute to kind of their growth. And then these are our future leaders. So I'm really excited to kind of see them like start I guess their journey here in community work and then take that to wherever they end up going. And so I think and I forgot to mention, I also am a San Jose State University alum. So
Yeah.
in a sense, I was given that kind of, like I was given opportunities here through my supervisors and some mentors to like grow and then also learn new things and work through challenges. So it's nice to kind of, in a sense, give back to the students what was given to me here when I attended San Jose State.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. That's definitely, I think I can relate a lot to that myself, why I
Mhm.
pursue student affairs. I think especially as a student, back when I was a student, that was definitely a lot of motivations of like, oh, hey, it was great my first 2 years. How can I come back and like do this work for other
Yeah.
students that's coming after me?
Yes, yes, 100%. So it's kind of like that. Someone did it for me. I kind of want to also open doors for others as well.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. All right. I think jumping back to an earlier point, jumping in from kind of a different profession, even though it's higher ed, it's not exactly student affairs. Um, Maybe a little bit about how your education and background or previous role kind of prepare you for this work in student affairs. What are some of the transferable skills that I think was really helpful for you to
Mhm.
succeed so far?
Yes. So just a little background in terms of my last role, or at least my permanent full-time role. I was working for like Temple University's medical school, and I was in the diversity, equity, and inclusion office. And so that office didn't really sit necessarily in student affairs, but I did work a lot with our student affairs office. So I have experience collaborating with student affairs through like medical students, the health professional side. And so that was pretty much, I think I knew about student affairs, but I didn't really know that it was kind of a profession or like
Mhm.
a thing. Because then
Yeah.
through my collaboration with student affairs, I was able to just kind of learn that, oh, there are resources, there are associations, newsletters. I could like kind of learn about this field. And so that was kind of my intro to student affairs. And I'll say as a social worker and public health person, I went to grad school and got my master's in social work and public health, a dual degree. And so
Mhm.
I feel like it's all the skills that I learned there super transferable to student affairs and also higher ed, especially coming from a public health background, being able to kind of see the larger just like that larger big picture of maybe like the policies and also kind of the external like environments, maybe even outside the university that have impact on communities. And so that's transferable in the sense, like with the universities, being able to see like what the federal policies or state policies that are impacting our students. And so just having that kind of knowledge or kind of insight into like looking into that kind of data, I guess,
Yeah.
is super helpful as a public health person. And as a social worker, it's really nice because then I also have that balance of being able to interact with individuals. And so using that when I'm supervising or mentoring students or even talking and engaging with students, I use a lot of what I've learned as a social worker, not necessarily like in the clinical space, but I consider myself a macro social worker. So anyone interested in that, let me know. But able to kind of just like, sure, I understand the larger things that are impacting people, but also just like treating people on an individual level and kind of like what their needs are and what do they want to talk about, what's important to them. And so being able to like have that empathy and compassion, I think falls nicely and transfers nicely into to student affairs. So I just think it's kind of, I don't know, it's an all around field that I'm glad I got into because I can really apply it anywhere, including higher ed.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. And I think that clip, that everything you just talked about in the last 2 minutes, I think that's probably what we're going to use, but that can definitely pull in a lot more people to kind of
Yes.
join the profession. So,
Oh, heck yeah.
yeah,
It's like you don't even have to be yeah, as I'm, like, talking to people from here at San Jose State, they're just like, what'd get you in student affairs?" And I'm like, "I don't know." And then but, like, there are some people who learned early in college that I'm learning they knew about student affairs as a profession, and honestly, yeah, I had no clue. I was just kind of like, "Oh, cool. I like working with students." It's that seems cool. And then guy communities, yeah, love it too. So I ended up in the role where I was like, this is a perfect combination for both.
yeah, no, that's amazing. Um, right. So kind of I think we have time for like maybe one or two more questions. So throw in kind of a curveball. This is a question I didn't send you earlier, but
Okay.
I, but I think in your role in the center, considering the context that we are in now, especially in higher education, conversations about DEI, supporting students of different race and backgrounds. How does that affect your work? Is that something you think about constantly? How do you approach that within?
Ooh, that's a hard one. I don't want to think about it. I'm kidding. Oh my God. I feel like given I mean, I think of course all the things that are happening on federal especially the federal level in terms of what is it? Kind of those policies that are negatively and severely impacting communities and especially our students from historically or I say presently marginalized groups, and that could include race, ethnicity, it can include like nationality and all these other things, socioeconomic status, just gender. So I think it definitely does impact our center, specifically the students, because they're the ones that are specifically like impacted or maybe already feeling the effects of it. Um, I think in terms of operational wise, I so CAPISE is actually a newer center from what I know, it's maybe been around 3 years officially.
Yeah.
Like the center has opened 3 years.
Okay.
Glad that we have this space that kind of is a grounding space for a lot of our students, is what I'm sensing, and also for myself, right? I
Yeah.
think for myself, like it does get overwhelming. Sometimes I'm doom scrolling on social media and I'm like, oh God, no, turn it off. I have to turn this off because if I keep like digesting that information, it kind of
Mhm.
makes me go a little insane. And so I'll say, yeah, of course it impacts me as well as someone who works in this student affairs. And always trying to like keep up to date, especially as a public health nerd-ish, like a social worker. Of
Yeah.
course, I'm always just like constantly thinking about it, but figuring out ways to like center myself. And I feel like Capice, so far in the month and a half I've been here, this is a great place for at least me to be in during this time of kind of madness and also just
Yeah.
uncertainty. So I'm glad I get to be in a space where we can like support students who may be experiencing the effects of those decisions that are made in our country right now. And then for me, it's just like a place where it's a community builder. So like being able to build communities and relationships with the students and also the faculty and staff as well is really, I think, healing in a way, or at least can help me get through this, whatever we're going through. I can't even, I have no words for it. So
Yeah.
that's all I got to say.
Yeah, no, thank you for saying that because I think that's really important. That's something, I think about a lot too in our work, especially within our business school and in a different context on the East Coast in DC. It's
Oh, 100.
a very,
I mean,
very
for me,
different context.
living in Philly, it was even during like anytime it was like election season, even before this January or whatever, it was so different. Like I remember making a trip to California and not really a lot of it was just such a different feel. Like I feel like it's way more, they're just, I don't know, there's constant news, there's constant like text messages, phone. It
Yeah,
and then when I remember moving back here and I was like, uh, I don't really get as many notifications. As bad it was in the East Coast, I would always get something. So
yeah,
really hard. It's a very different environment.
yeah, definitely. All right. So the last question I have for you, um, I think it's kind of the overall conversation, working in student affairs. What gets you excited? What gets you motivated to do this work every day? And what are you looking forward to the most as you kind of advance your career?
Woo, that's a hard one. No, I'm kidding. Now that I think about it, so it's kind of going back to my last response. I think what motivates me is the relationships that I build, not just in the university, but just as community in a whole.
Mhm.
Community is important to me and building relationships with people. And so kind of learning, I guess, about their experiences. There's some similarities between maybe some of the people, my friends, right, for example, or like
Yeah.
students or my colleagues that we experience similarly, but also like learning about the diverse experience or different experiences that they have. And so I think like being able to like build relationships with people and have that community kind of reminds me, hey, this is why I do the work that I do in student affairs, but then with also like a public health social work context. Um, I think that kind of motivates me to continue on. And then kind of our conversation about, like what's happening in the world, especially in our country, and sort of like those policies and decisions that are being made on a larger scale, it made me reflect. I do reflect a lot on, I guess, what role do I want to play in this time, and also what do I want to contribute to my look what I can in my local community. And so I think that's what motivates me is like I continuously think about that I just remind myself that um, even through this madness, this is kind of the work that I kind of want to be in. Like I want to be in a space where I am supporting students or kind of uplifting them and then making sure that they're supported and they have what they need to succeed academically. And so
Mhm.
when they graduate, that they're also going to be kind of those like future leaders, right? Or leaders also influencing other people and communities to kind of I don't know, like contribute greatly to the world. So that's kind of my motivation.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. Well, thank you so much for answering all the questions.
Hmm.
Definitely threw your kind of couple curveball there. Um,
All
so thank
good.
you so much for taking your time to do this. All right, I'm gonna stop the recording.
Yay.